Hey everyone, Mario Pareca here, and I'm joined by a very special guest. We just recorded a couple episodes of the podcast, so I'm super excited for that. Sarah Clay is here. She's an award-winning, if I can talk right, social media expert. She helps business owners accelerate their business growth from her social media consultancy, Sarah Clay Social. SarahClaySocial.com is where you can find that. I just read that bio like 3 times. You'd think I'd be able to say it by now, but I'm still tripping over my tongue. Sarah, what's up?
Hey Mario, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. You just got your tea delivered to you, and I have mine
I
right here.
did.
What kind of tea are
Look
you
at
drinking?
this. Oh, English breakfast with
That's what I
milk. Very
have.
weak.
Oh,
Very
with
weak.
milk. So you're a milk person in your tea, because I have honey
Yeah.
in mine.
You have what in yours?
Honey.
Honey. Oh, nice. No,
Is
just
that
milk.
is that a sin? Like I know that some people who are tea drinkers, they have it a certain way, and if anyone else does it differently, it's like it's an outrage. Do you get outraged with people
Oh, yeah.
with their tea styles?
Absolutely. Milk in second, always. Put the milk in first, and I can tell.
Really?
Yeah. It's the way that the heat reacts with the milk, or the milk reacts with the heat, whatever. Tastes
What
differently.
kind of milk?
Cow juice.
Is
Normal cow juice.
it like 1%, 2% whole milk?
Okay, so in the UK we have full fat skimmed, which is the really skinny one, and then semi-skimmed, which is the middly one. So
Okay.
I'm a middly kind of girl.
You'd like to go the middle route.
Yeah,
Gotcha. I'm a full fat kind of person myself.
full fat guy.
I'm not scared. I go all the way. But yeah,
married, living on the edge.
that's it. So we're having tea together. We're having a chat. Let's talk, like we just did 2 episodes of the podcast. Is there anything that we talked about in those 2 episodes that kind of stood out to you, or something that you want to just kind of mention and talk about a little bit more depth? I mean, you're a social media expert. Everyone watching this is watching on social media. Like, what would you say to them?
Well, we have been talking about the current situation, but actually, I think what's happened. This is because we're filming this in the middle of the coronavirus, so we're all on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, the things that we're learning at the moment, I think we will be using these tools forever. So about future-proofing your business when something's not going very well, i.e. now for a lot of people, and how to showcase your business in a really different way, and using storytelling as one particular tool and showing the real heart behind your business. And I think that's what more and more people are having to do at the moment. And I think that will continue afterwards, hopefully. And I think maybe this whole thing will maybe eke out the wheat from the chaff, or and I think the strong people will survive and they will carry on, and it's the authentic people who are doing it properly, who are doing it right, will carry on in the business. And maybe some businesses will fail, but maybe they were in the wrong area anyway. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe it's time for everybody to have a real rethink about their business.
Do you think after this, everyone right now, they're on lockdown, supposed to be anyway, on social media, doing things like this. Do you think at the end of this, people will value real in-person interaction more? Or do you think they'll be afraid of it?
It's interesting because I was out yesterday on my cycle ride and people were coming close-ish to me, and I was quite fearful of that, obviously, because there's a contagion out there. But it did make me wonder whether we are going to develop a bit of cabin fever and be a little bit nervous about actually meeting people face to face when we do see them. So I think that will be an issue. And there are people, I spoke to some people today who are saying the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the pub, I'm going to have a party. I don't think people will. I think people will be a little bit nervous, and it'll take us a while before we can have those communications again, because we've been so used to just dealing with people on screen.
Yeah, but like for me, I've dealt with people on screen for years. This is my business. Nothing's really changed for me as far as execution goes. But I think that the people, there's a shift happening right now, and I don't know if you want to call it a reset or you want to call it people just having time to think about different things. But I think that it's a real interesting time, because if you look at other times in history when we've had lockdowns like the Spanish flu and those types of things, like obviously we weren't alive, but when you look at those in the history books, those people didn't really have any interaction when they were on lockdown, right? They didn't have the internet. They didn't have, like, could you imagine you have to get your news from the newspaper every day, and then you would just be sitting inside with the people closest to you, and that would be it. Like today, even though we're on lockdown, we can still do things like this. We can still get news in an instant. We can still go surf the different Twitter and Facebook and all of those different things. So it's going to be really interesting to me to see how this lockdown with interaction changes the dynamic of interaction after lockdown.
Absolutely. And I think people will realize the value of interacting in this way, that we are very used to and have been doing, as you say, for years. And I think for businesses, there'll be a huge shift, and there'll be, I think, much less travel, because currently people travel just to have a meeting because they haven't trusted the whole interface of talking on a computer to somebody. And I think people actually realize that you can do it, and you can show authenticity and personality when you're on camera.
I mean, so, we're having tea right now, and to me, it's like
Cheers.
no different. Cheers. It's no different than if we were sitting in a coffee shop having tea together. I mean,
absolutely. Tea's better anyway because my husband made it.
There you go.
And he knows how I like my tea.
He puts the milk in second, right?
Absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm loving this, and I'm able to sit and have, Zoom parties in my Zoom in the evenings, online with wine, whatever you want to call it, with 7, 8, 10, up to 100 people. It's fantastic.
And you don't have to worry about
it still doesn't quite beat the going to the pub, but it's great. It's really, I'm really loving it.
But you don't have to worry about who's buying either, right?
Good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah,
it takes that social thing away.
No, and I want white. No, I want red. No, I want gin. I want vodka. Yeah, just choose what you like.
Yeah, have whatever you want. But I guess the other question I have for you is, since this has happened and since you've been, inside like this, what's one thing you've done that you probably wouldn't have done if this hadn't happened?
Oh, gosh. You see, the thing is, because I work from home, I've got my agency here in, my office, my life actually hasn't changed an awful lot. In fact, it has, because I've got 3 kids. They're all a bit older, but they've all come back home and they're doing all the cooking. So I haven't cooked anything for ages. It's fantastic. So what else am I doing? I think I've realized that I can cope without doing Pilates every day. That's one thing. I mean, I am, but I used to love going to my class, being told what to do and where to, move and everything. And that was my absolute lifeblood. But I've had to adapt, and I'm now doing Pilates online with various amazing people. And I've realized that I can do that. Yeah.
So when this is over, are you going to go back every day to the Pilates studio, or do you think you're going to cut back a little?
I might cut back. I think I'll still go, but I think I may cut back and do some at home, which saves me quite a lot of time, backwards and forwards.
So that's an interesting takeaway, and that's something I think a lot of people are going to have to grapple with when this comes over. Is what do I go back to what I used to do before, or do I integrate some of the things that I've learned during this time with that? And I think the integration is the key, because we're learning a lot right now that we probably wouldn't have learned otherwise. I think it's like God's way of saying, hey, let's go experiment with something else.
Maybe. And I think there's a lot of people working from home who are realizing, I quite like this, actually. And not only do I like it, but it works. So I think we're going to see a big shift of people working from home a lot more, which is, I think it's really good news. And I think also the whole status of working from home is going to shift, and it'll become a real thing, rather than work from home kind of attitude. So I think it's great.
I agree. I love working from home. I've done it for 10 years now, and it's just like, in fact, there was a time when I was like, you know what, I should get an office. That way I kind of separate the two, because my work and my life are kind of integrated, and that's the way I like it. Like, the lines are kind of blurred, but the most important people in my life get it. I have clear understandings of what's what. And so there was a time when I was learning all this that I thought, I'm going to go get an office space, and then I can actually go to the office, and there's work and here's home. And I started to look at them, and I thought, you know what? If I'm going to spend this much money to go and have an office space, why wouldn't I just upgrade my living situation? So that's what I did. So I had a
like
home
that.
office. So I was like, because one of the perks from working from home is I don't have to fight rush hour traffic. I don't have to be there at any certain time.
Yeah.
I don't have to
Yeah.
adjust my life around it. So why would I make it so I had to do that when I don't have to do that? And so that's what I ended up doing, is getting the home office and, operating that way. And I love it, I have to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when I set up, my agency from here, I had no expenses at all. I had a computer already. I bought a couple of lights, maybe a microphone. Oof, I'm away. And that's my overheads. It's fantastic.
And when you work from home and you have your own space, you can put in or paint a cool orange wall like you have behind you. I love that wall.
You can.
You don't have to answer to anyone. You just get the paint and do it. You can change it every day if you want.
I could. Yeah, I didn't have to go to the landlord or to the freeholder and say, can I paint that wall orange, please? No, just bought the paint and did it.
And orange is my favorite color, so that's another reason why I love that so much. And you have a great setup, Sarah. Thank you so much for being here, for doing the podcast with me, and then coming on this and doing some casual conversations. I really appreciate it. SarahClaySocial.com is where you can go find her and all that she's doing with businesses and social media. Especially, I know a lot of people that I'm connected to are in the hospitality field. And I know that Sarah started in the hospitality field, so she has a really good grasp of not only social media marketing, but hospitality-wise. So if that's something that, you're in a place right now where you're like in the hospitality field, you don't know what's going to happen after, but you want to get something started today so that no matter what happens, you put yourself in a position to at least have some momentum built. She's a great person to talk to there. So go check her out, SarahClaySocial.com. Sarah, thanks so much. It's been great having tea with you. And I'll have tea with you anytime on Zoom. You just let me know when.
Well, I think we should definitely make this maybe a regular thing. It's been great. Thank you so much, Mario. Thanks for having me. See you.